he passed away in 2011, the world heavyweight champion boxer Joe Frazier had a $100,000 fortune. Joe Frazier was an athlete from 1965 to 1981. His many accomplishments include becoming the first boxer to defeat Muhammad Ali and holding the title of undisputed heavyweight champion from 1970 until 1973. At the end of his career, Frazier had 32 victories, 4 defeats, and 1 tie. Sadly, Joe's financial situation deteriorated following his boxing career. He acknowledged later in life that he was not a very successful businessman and was far too kind to friends and family when his income was at its highest. Known by his moniker, Smokin Joe, Joseph William Frazier, January 12, 1944 to November 7, 2011, was an American professional boxer who is considered by many to be among the best heavyweight fighters of all time. He had a reputation for being strong, resilient, having a powerful left hand, and battling with constant pressure. In addition to becoming the NYSAC heavyweight champion from 1968 to 1973 and the undisputed heavyweight champion from 1970 to 1973, Frazier was an amateur gold medalist at the 1964 Summer Olympics. Frazier became the heavyweight champion without a challenge in 1970 after rising to the top of the rankings in the late 1960s. In the much-awaited fight of the century in 1971, he won by unanimous decision against Ali. George Foreman defeated Frazier for the belt 2 years later. In 1975, Frazier made his final attempt to win the world title, but Ali defeated him in the vicious rubber battle known as the Thrilla in Manila. With a record of 32 wins, 4 defeats, and 1 draw, Frazier attempted a return in 1981 before officially retiring in 1976 following a second defeat to Foreman. Frazier is among the top 10 heavyweights of all time by the International Boxing Research Organization. He was named Fighter of the Year by the Boxing Writers Association of America, BWAA, in 1969, 1971, and 1975, and Fighter of the Year by the Ring magazine in 1967, 1970, and 1971. He was regarded as the 8th greatest heavyweight by the Ring in 1999. He was a member of the first induction class for the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990, and he is now a member of both the World Boxing Hall of Fame and the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He relied on bobbing, weaving, and constant pressure to wear out his opponents, and his technique was been compared to that of Rocky Marciano and Henry Armstrong. His most well-known blow was a strong left hook, which was responsible for the majority of his knockouts. Only 2 previous Olympic and world heavyweight champions defeated him during his career, George Foreman twice and Muhammad Ali twice. At Philadelphia, Frazier kept up his boxer training at his gym. Although there were occasional reconciliations, his eventual attitude toward Ali was mostly one of resentment and disdain. Early life. Frazier, the 11th child of Dolly Alston Frazier and Reuben, was born in Beaufort, South Carolina, on January 12, 1944. He grew up in the small Beaufort County town of Laurel Bay, South Carolina. When Frazier was a child, his father carried him over the 10 acres of farmland where the Fraziers were sharecroppers, to the still where he made his bootleg corn liquor, and into town on Saturdays to buy the necessities that a family of 10 needed. Frazier claimed that he was always close to his father. He was referred to as Billy Boy, with fondness. The year his kid was born, Reuben Frazier was involved in a tractor accident that resulted in the amputation of his left hand and a portion of his forearm. Reuben Frazier and his wife, Dolly, were in their vehicle when their inebriated buddy Arthur Smith tried to court Dolly but was turned down. Local bartender Stephen Gallucci described the event. Smith shot at the Fraziers multiple times as they drove away, striking Reuben in the arm and Dolly in the foot. Smith was found guilty and imprisoned, although he did not remain there for long. "The white man got you out of jail and kept you busy on the farm if you were a good worker," Dolly recalled. Buck and Jenny were the 2 mules that Frazier's parents used to run their farm. They referred to the farms as white dirt, which is another word for "it isn't worth a damn." They were only able to cultivate watermelons and cotton there, neither peas nor maize. Personal life. Marriage and children. Frazier married Florence Smith in 1965, and together they had 4 children: Marvis, Jackie, Natalie, and Allison. His family life was deeply influenced by his boxing career, with two of his children, Marvis and Jackie, following in his footsteps. Marvis Frazier challenged for the world heavyweight title against Larry Holmes, while Jackie Frazier became a WIBA world light heavyweight champion, notably losing a close majority decision points match against Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, in 2001. His granddaughter, Latrice Frazier, appeared on an episode of Maury, and his son Derek was a runner-up on Big Brother 23, winning $75,000, as announced on July 1, 2021. These family ties in boxing highlight the legacy Frazier left, with his children and grandchildren carrying forward his passion for the sport. Early career. The family and others in the neighborhood gathered to watch boxing contests on the black and white television that Frazier's father purchased in the early 1950s. They watched fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, Rocky Marciano, Willie Pep, and Rocky Graziano while Frazier's mother sold beverages for a quarter. Israel, Frazier's uncle, observed his stout physique one evening. "That boy there, that boy is going to be another Joe Louis," he said. Joe was affected by the remarks. To keep bullies away, his friends would offer him a sandwich or a coin so he could go on a stroll with them at the end of the school day. According to Frazier, any scambooga who got in my face would soon regret it. Billy Boy could kick anybody's ass. Frazier stuffed an old burlap sack with rags, corncobs, a brick, and Spanish moss the day after his uncle's remark. In the backyard, he hung the homemade heavy bag on an oak tree. "I would hammer the heavy bag for an hour at a time almost every day for the following 6 or 7 years. I'd wrap my hands with my dad's necktie, or my mother's or sister's stocking, and start working," he said. Shortly after he began working, Frazier was running from the family's 300-pound hog when he suffered a major injury to his left arm. Frazier once jabbed a stick at the hog and fled, but the hog pursued him since the gate to the pigpen was open. Frazier stumbled and struck a brick with his left arm. His arm was severely torn, but it had to mend itself because the family could not afford a doctor. He was never able to straighten things up completely again. Fast forward, Frazier won Golden Gloves heavyweight titles in 1962, 1963, and 1964 while still an amateur. In his 3 years as an amateur, he only lost to Buster Mathis. Joe's greatest challenge to qualifying for the 1964 U.S. Olympic boxing squad would be Mathis. In the summer of 1964, they met at the New York World's Fair at the U.S. Olympic Trials final. In addition to wearing headgear and 10-ounce gloves for the 3 rounds of their battle, the boxers who advanced to Tokyo used 8-ounce gloves and no headgear. Frazier knocked out 2 opponents to go to the finals because he was determined to exact revenge on Mathis for his lone amateur defeat. But after everything was said and done, the judges had once again called it for Mathis, which Joe believed was unfair. "All that fat boy had done was run like a thief, hit me with a peck and backpedal like crazy," he'd say. In the 1964 Olympics, Joe Frazier replaced an injured Buster Mathis in the heavyweight boxing event. He secured victories over George Uwello and Athol McQueen, advancing to the semifinals against Vadim Yemelyanov. During this bout, Frazier injured his left thumb but continued fighting, resulting in a second-round TKO. Despite the injury, Frazier kept it hidden, soaking his thumb to manage the pain. In the finals, he faced Hans Huber, adapting his fighting style due to his damaged hand, and ultimately won the gold medal by a 3-2 decision. Professional career. After his Olympic gold medal win, Joe Frazier turned professional in 1965, guided by trainer Yancey "Yank" Durham. A group of businessmen, Clover Lay, invested in his career. Frazier quickly gained momentum, winning his early fights by knockout. Despite a training accident that left him legally blind in one eye, he continued to dominate. In 1966, Eddie Futch joined Frazier's team, significantly impacting his fighting style and strategy. Futch advised Frazier to boycott the 1967 WBA heavyweight elimination tournament. Frazier's career surged in the late 1960s, with notable victories over Oscar Bonavena, Doug Jones, and George Chuvalo. By 1967, Frazier was on the cover of Ring magazine, and after Muhammad Ali was stripped of his title, Frazier defeated Buster Mathis to claim the New York State Athletic Commission's World Champion title. He defended his claim against Manuel Ramos and Bonavena. In 1969, Frazier continued his dominance with wins over Dave Zeigelwicz and Jerry Quarry, earning Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year award. In 1970, he defeated WBA champion Jimmy Ellis to become the undisputed heavyweight champion. He then defended his title against Bob Foster. This set the stage for the highly anticipated fight of the century against Muhammad Ali, marking the first time two undefeated heavyweight champions would face each other. The highly anticipated fight of the century between Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali took place on March 8, 1971, at Madison Square Garden. The event drew a massive international audience and a star-studded crowd. Frazier, at his peak at 27, faced Ali, 29, who was returning from a 3-year suspension. Frazier and his trainer, Eddie Futch, had studied Ali's fighting style, particularly his tendency to drop his right hand before throwing a powerful uppercut. The fight lived up to its billing, a brutal and competitive contest. Frazier, despite losing the first 2 rounds, weathered Ali's combinations and gained momentum in the middle rounds. He landed powerful body shots and his signature left hooks to Ali's head. Frazier won a 15-round unanimous decision, securing the lineal title. Both fighters were hospitalized after the bout. Later in 1971, Frazier participated in a 3-round exhibition against Cleveland Williams. In 1972, he successfully defended his title twice, knocking out Terry Daniels and Ron Stander. Title loss and Ali rematch. In 1973, Joe Frazier lost his undefeated record and world championship to George Foreman, who dominated the fight, knocking Frazier down 6 times. Frazier then defeated Joe Bugner, setting his sights on regaining the title. In 1974, Frazier faced Muhammad Ali in a non-title rematch, losing by unanimous decision. He followed this with wins over Jerry Quarry and Jimmy Ellis, positioning himself for another title shot. Thrilla in Manila and Foreman rematch. Frazier and Ali had their 3rd and final bout, the Thrilla in Manila, in 1975. A brutal and punishing fight, it ended when Frazier's trainer stopped the fight in the 14th round, due to Frazier's severe eye injuries. Ali later called it the closest thing to dying that I know of. In 1976, Frazier fought Foreman again, losing by TKO in the 5th round, after which he announced his retirement. Comeback and training career. In 1981, Frazier attempted a comeback, fighting to a draw against Floyd Cummings before retiring permanently. He then focused on training boxers, including his children, Marvis Frazier and Jackie Frazier-Lyde. He made appearances in the film Rocky and various media events. Other work and media appearances. Frazier was involved in various ventures, including professional wrestling events and media appearances. He appeared in The Simpsons and the Fight Night video game series. He also released his autobiography, Smokin Joe, and an instructional book, Box Like the Pros. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame and the Madison Square Garden Walk of Fame. Later life and legacy. Joe Frazier lived and trained at his Philadelphia gym, aiming to support troubled youth through the Smokin Joe Frazier Foundation. Plans for a statue in his honor were overshadowed by the Rocky statue. Frazier faced health issues, including diabetes and high blood pressure, and had a complex relationship with Muhammad Ali, marked by both public apologies and insults. His financial situation was impacted by reported real estate mismanagement. His gym was recognized by the National Trust for Historic Preservation as one of America's 11 most endangered historic places in 2012 and later added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2013. Despite health challenges from a car accident, Frazier continued to train young fighters. His rivalry with Ali remained a point of contention, with Frazier maintaining his stance of having won all their bouts. In his later years, Frazier pursued his musical interests, collaborating with Jace Lewis in the UK for music releases and speaking engagements, marking his final appearance there. Illness and cause of death. Joe Frazier was diagnosed with liver cancer in late September 2011 and passed away on November 7, 2011, at the age of 67, while under hospice care in Philadelphia. Muhammad Ali expressed his respect and admiration for Frazier upon his death. His private funeral, attended by notable figures, was held on November 14 in Philadelphia, with Floyd Mayweather Jr. covering the funeral expenses. Frazier was buried at Ivy Hill Cemetery. A statue of Frazier, sculpted by Stephen Lane, was erected at Xfinity Live, Philadelphia in 2015, following the unexpected death of the original commissioned sculptor. Thanks for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Share it with your family and friends. Subscribe and click on the bell notification. Stay blessed as always.